Alright, so we're going to go over this now. This is just simply one of the most revolting displays I've ever seen. So we're live. I don't know if anybody's fucking watching, but sound off in the chat if you're watching. If you can hear me. Can you hear me clearly through my brand spanking new microphone? I wanted to go over this fucking stream, dude. You saw the title, you saw this little thing here. I sat down with longtime River Westerner, disability justice activist, and woo-woo witchy. They have also been a freak bike welder and sword swallower. We drank Four Loko, yeah. We discussed River West, ableism, shite people that need to shut up, learning from oppressed groups, and sword swallowing. Cool, let's get to it.
Consult the description that you gave me, because you do a lot of things.
Thank you, I do.
So we've got B. Brolick in the house, and B is a disabled, non-binary fat femme writer, spoken word performer, former sword swallower,
True facts,
reproductive rights and disability justice activist, intersectional feminist, bringer of the dance party, karaoke enthusiast, freak bike welder, tattooed woo-woo witchy Jew, grief doula. Did I say that right?
You did.
Oh, good. Longtime River West resident and one awkward human, aka DJ for Loca. B, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I just basically had to, strong.
So yeah, these are the kind of people that sort of run the show in my town. Like, it's kind of disgusting, isn't it? I mean, degenerate, sort of dysgenic, far left, it's kind of screwed up. Wait, so you can hear my voice? What? Oh, she definitely did eat two other huwyte girls. Because it's all, like, fat positive and whatnot. But, you can definitely hear me. Yeah.
For me to do this, not really, but...
Oh, not at all. Actually, shout out Dandy.
Yeah,
because
seriously.
Dandy tagged you in, or she tagged me, I think.
She did, because I posted this thing. Also, I have no nails, so I have to open my Four Loko with my keys. That's how cool it is to be me.
Cheers.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Yes, I posted this...
Every single time. Every single time.
thing on the internet and said, I want to talk about reproductive rights and disability justice on someone's podcast. Get in touch with me. And then Dandy tagged you.
Yes.
And that's why I'm...
And here we are. And I'm excited.
They're excited to talk about depopulating the West. Yeah, cool, awesome. Reproductive rights, because we know that that's precisely what that means, right? We know, the candy-coated language that they employ. Like, we understand that every single fucking time,
To finally, sit and get to know you.
I'm excited to be here and also, get to know you. Because I mean, ask questions too,
I appreciate it. No, I love, especially because I love, bringing people on the show that just have such horizons with passion. You have a lot of things that you're clearly passionate about. You have a lot of things that you identify as, or just...
It's like a lot of passion, zero substance, and you have a lot of things that you identify as. We got the left in a nutshell. Let's continue.
Subjects you're well versed about, and specifically with disability justice, ableism, one of the least talked about issues in our...
No one wants to talk about it. It makes people so uncomfortable.
And honestly, but those are the ones...
Is this disability justice, or is this I want to be large and in charge and have nobody tell me about is this healthy at any size type shit? Is that basically passionate about cheeseburgers precisely?
That are usually the most overlooked ones that we need to talk about.
Exactly.
So we're gonna get into that. I had my friend Raina on the show. She has muscular atrophy. She's in a wheelchair, and she was the first on the show to like really talk about ableism, but it comes in many forms.
It really does.
Now,
Are we going to get into the forms? Like, if a business is just not big time enough to be able to afford some wheelchair ramp or something, is that ableism? I mean, I don't know. What is? Let's see if they'll define it. Because when you listen to these lefties, it's always very vague, slipshod, intentionally vague, so that they can shift definitions around at their convenience. But let's see if they'll actually define any of this stuff.
not only physical but also mental, also just genetic, all kinds.
There's even this whole idea, I think, about like classism in terms of ableism and like being have or have not, and how that really affects people too. So ableism, it's not just our bodies, it's not just our brains, it's really how society really fucks us over.
Yeah.
As like the like dualistic, nuanced humans that we are.
Yeah.
So thanks, society. You suck.
Glug the Four Loko.
Real.
Like, they could, of course, be glugging a Orangina that is, like, the same price, maybe even cheaper than the Four Loko. I don't know. I don't drink at all, personally. I used to, and I realized that that's sort of a shitty, hedonistic, dead-end lifestyle. Kind of, you know what I mean? I put the kibosh on that. They have not.
Yeah, so
Four Lokos, it's like grape-flavored battery acid, yo. You know what I mean?
what we talk about in Mr. Nice Guy, we talk love and fear through our passionate and creative minds. I first met, we were Facebook friends.
We were.
For some time. And then, like,
Shout out to
I met you
Zuckerberg.
in person at High Dive.
You did. At karaoke.
At karaoke, yeah. So you're a frequent flyer over there, yes?
I like to say that I have been going to that bar since I think it was called Tony's Place.
Tony's Place.
So I moved to Milwaukee in 2000 and
Talking about this bar it was called the River Horse, then like some other stuff. It's changed, maybe owner. It's like one of these hipster bars where people like that, ANTIFA types convene. And it's like you'll notice it's all like hedonism, junk food, Four Loko, going to bars, but society has made me like, I don't know, it's society,
wanted to go to UWM.
Okay.
But I found out that I'm not really good at like school. I mean, I'm smart, but I don't like applying myself, and it was the first time out of my mom's house.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And all of a sudden there was like this cafe called Fuel Cafe, and I was like spending all.
By the way, Fuel Cafe is one of the permanent victims of COVID coof, Chinese bat coof cooties. They are permanently shut down. Fuel Cafe, Comet Cafe, those are two other hipster sort of destinations in town. Yeah, those are two entities that have succumbed to the COVID thing. But yeah, it's again Fuel Cafe, so it's like spending like $9 on a fucking like meatball sub rather than like going shopping. We'll see. This is like lefty urbanite bourgeois shit lib sort of lifestyle choices that we're seeing.
All of my time there and like making friends there and making friends with people who were older than me who could get me into bars, such as this one bar that was on the corner of Center and Pierce. And as far as I remember, it was called Tony's Place. If anyone who's like my age or older watching, let me know if I'm right. But it later became River Horse, and then it became River Horse again, or as I called it, River Horse 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Nice.
And then it was Impala Lounge, and now it's the wonderful, wonderful Home Away from Home High Dive.
I love High Dive.
I love High Dive.
Shout out to Connor. I love Connor.
Oh, we're so fucking popular socialites. It's like, can we get to the
Jason McBrady.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason. Pretty much like
Love the Platinum Boys. Great dudes.
doggies.
Yeah, the doggies.
Yeah, these are like local bands and bartenders and stuff that nobody gives two shits about.
I feel so lucky to be so close to a hub of like River West community and celebrity. There's so many awesome like.
Look at how posh and bourgeois your average urbanite hipster leftist is. I feel like I've said that phrase like 18 times in 5 minutes that we've been in this video so far. It's just that way. Let me double check my mic here though. The microphone, it should be good. But yeah, I mean, celebrity. It's just like, dude, what is that? What
Like
is
I
that?
will still fan person there. Like when I like see people and like I've known so many of you for forever.
Right.
But I mean, it really is home away from home. And now that I'm working like full time, I don't go there as often because I'm finally an adult at 36.
Wow! Congratulations.
Thank you. We'll see how long this lasts. No, I'm kidding. I'm really happy.
Right.
But yeah, hi Doug. I was so happy to like meet you in person.
Likewise,
and like
I want to hear about the white people that need to shut up, dude.
I feel
That's
really
what I'm
comfortable
here about.
talking to you. Like
Thank
you have
you.
a really open, like, oh god, woo woo aura. Here we go. But no, I felt really comfortable talking with you. And actually, I first saw you comment on something on it was Laurel sulfates.
Oh yeah!
One
Shout
of
out to
her
Laurel.
posts. Laurel is also awesome.
Laurel-
I've known her forever.
She's so lovely. She was here a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's awesome! I couldn't find that episode.
I haven't posted it.
Oh.
I think they're talking about like these local sort of like drag queen, like weird gender bendy kind of people. I'm not exactly sure though.
Well, surprise! Everyone's in for a treat because
See, this is the kind of thing people are gonna scoff at this sort of thing. Well, you should, but at the same time, this is why the left is so effective in what they do, because they can take virtually any subculture or any culture really, and they can fucking infiltrate it and they can take it over. Just take anything, right? What have they been talking about? Just local bands and bars and cafes and stuff like that. You know, they've basically taken all of that over for this fat, positive, lefty, ANTIFA, BLM, LGBT perspective. They've taken over this, like, urban center, like the social proceedings of this urban center, just by being, you know, degenerate socialites and fucking... I'm not saying that the right should be degenerate socialites, but they should reach out in the community more, and they should do things like start bands and, you know, get involved in art and things like that. I sincerely believe that that's important.
she's just a treasure.
Yeah, her band is great as well.
I remember her old band too, Didonk. They were also great.
Sure. Yeah. So mutual friends on Laurel.
Yep.
So yeah, and then I found out you're Jewish, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah.
But technically, as I often mention, I'm a lox and bagel Jew, so there's not.
Wait a minute, what did she just say? Hold on a second. What does that mean? Maybe somebody in the chat, all 7 of you that are there.
As I often mention, I'm a lox and bagel Jew, so
What is
there's
that?
not a lot of dogma and an awful lot of. I'm basically a Larry David character come to life, as in my family, where no one really even identifies as the idea of being Jewish, but being neurotic. It's like the tie that binds us.
Yeah.
But when I really started getting into the idea of being more spiritual, that is exactly where I gravitated towards, because...
So, to me, what I'm hearing is, you know, in my opinion, this is just like some sort of, I don't know, cloaking ability or something. It's like, it's the ability to sort of flip-flop from one thing to another. It's the ability to do this, you know, this thing, you know, fellow whites, that whole thing, that whole shebang, but then sort of be able to retreat and be like, no, I'm a bagel person. Don't look at me.
It felt like
I don't know. Prove me wrong.
home. Even though, if you look at us, it's not. And also, if you look at me, hi, I'm tattooed. I don't speak Hebrew. I was never bat mitzvahed.
Satanic.
There's a lot about me that is very not part of the diaspora. But then there's also a part of me that is very connected to this idea. I really like the idea of it's more important what we do on this earth than it is to get into this like idealistic afterlife that seems to be a really big part of Christianity.
Yeah.
And the only big part, and I'm not trying to talk shit about like...
Sure. I think it is about deconstructing the old waspy sort of huwyte, you know, the old guard Western white guy society. That's really what she's telling you to your face right now. That's what being a bagel locks person means to this person. In my opinion, you're being told straight to your face what the intentions are.
Christianity or any other religion. It's just more what I felt drawn to. As,
For sure, yeah.
As you know, the woo-woo tattooed witchy Jew that I am.
Right.
And I mean, for the most part, like a lot of Jewish people, I'm also kind of atheist. There's more of this idea.
The uptalk, urbanite, hipster tattooed, gosh.
Yeah, and it goes back to community. I was telling you about that
Atheist? Satanic?
earlier. Like, I like the idea of being around people who are like-minded and working towards a greater good.
Yeah.
And I see that.
Do you believe in the greater good, or is it just going to be like this uptalk? See, when I talk about the greater good, I speak directly. You know, the greater good. I believe in the greater good. In my opinion, the greater good is way the fuck different from what she would probably, or Z would probably believe in. I don't think that allowing, you know, this like leftist LGBTQ sort of ideology, for instance, be brought around kids. I don't think it's a very good idea. But I would imagine, I don't know if they're going to get into that necessarily, because this might have been a year or so before, or maybe like a month or so before that came to the, let's see, this is November 2nd. That sort of stuff, or like the BLM stuff. You know, I don't think that goes for the greater good. I think that goes for the disintegration of society.
That a lot, especially within like anti-Zionist Jewish movements, or like being like pro-Palestine, or
JVP.
Yes,
yeah.
I have a
If
lot.
Not now. Yeah.
I have a lot of feelings about that, but also I'm not super versed. I kind of keep a lot of my spiritual self to myself. But also, my nickname is Bubby.
Nice.
So, because I'm like the old person in the neighborhood now,
Yeah.
and most of my friends are younger than me. So I'm your Bubby. If you need anything, I'm Punk Rock Bubby.
Bubby.
I will
like
answer your
that.
questions about, you know, how to make a really good vegan curry, or
Fabulous. Vegan curry.
Vegan curry.
Very nice.
Or how to, like, you know, get like a crappy like white punk out of like your hair. I don't know.
Nice.
And
So basically, these are just like, you see how they talk like bougie coastal elites, but we're talking about like a major Midwestern city? Like, what is the deal with that? How did that happen exactly? Any ideas in the comments or chat would be appreciated.
I love crappy white punks. I've dated them for a while.
Right,
so
there you go.
It's fine.
Yeah, I sympathize with your identification with Judaism, because I'm also like, my parents are like, my mom was Jewish, my dad's not, but I was raised very minimally like surface level Judaism. Like, I mean, we celebrated like Hanukkah, the Seder, like the holidays, and like I went to a Jewish preschool, but it was very, very secular. I'm very, very secular humanist, very agnostic. I believe that
They usually are.
like the dogmatic principles of any religion just never, it was never imposed on me, and I also just never felt like it would bring me any closer to like a spirituality. It's just a matter of what goodness you bring, not only to the rest of the world, but also to yourself. Which we lose sight of.
So what I'm hearing is that they are, in my opinion, people like this are completely, generally speaking, are completely insulated from the backlash or the negative consequences of any of the policies or norms or mores or ideas that they push. Like, these kind of people, I think, almost always have some sort of, you know, suburban or rural place that they can go retreat to. And they don't really care about the people left behind in the cities to deal with, like, skyrocketing crime. For instance, since the George Floyd fucking bullshit, I believe in Milwaukee, shootings skyrocketed by, like, hundreds of %. You know, so it's like, I mean, this is obviously dated a little bit before, but by this time we were still dealing with fucking, like, weekly ANTIFA and BLM terrorism and that sort of thing. And, you know, we were already dealing with a lot of this BS anyway. A lot of the riots and arson. I don't
quite instantaneously. So, in that sense, like, I believe in the principles. I align with the Jewish principles of, you know, like, of community, of also questioning things,
Yes.
you know, and as Jews, that's
They don't question the right things.
something that
I don't think.
kind of like a benefit of
What are they questioning?
the Jewish faith is that we're encouraged to ask questions.
I'm not hearing the questions, man. I'm not hearing the valid questions. I'm hearing like assertions being made about, you know, whiteness and maleness and Americanism that are kind of ill-founded, you know, but we'll get into
I feel
these.
like we're one of the only monotheistic
There we go.
religions that really embraces that.
Yeah.
I feel like it can also be found in Islam, especially because it really is a scholarly religion. Here I am about to talk shit about Christianity. I swear I don't care. But also, I just feel like, especially with everything that's going on with...
Did she just imply that Islam is a more, like, scholarly and chill or, like, civilized religion than Christianity? Did she just do that? But then say, oh, don't look at me. I don't care if you're a Christian. Brilliant. That's, she's you know, very slippery.
this, like, faux idea of being a good Christian, especially with who's in office and like all the things that like politicians do in the name of like this weird Christian God to take away rights from people.
Right.
Is she going to get into the rights that Christians are taking away? I think I've asked this a few times. Like, are they going to name any of the things that they're talking about? Or they just, this is what they're, you notice? They just sort of like vaguely allude to it and he goes, yeah, that's right. He does this little nodding gesture of approval, but they don't actually elaborate very heavily on it. You know, it's, even when they talk amongst themselves, they don't get into it because they probably, do you think they know that their ideology is completely substanceless? Because they'll give you the, oh, you need to go research it for yourself response when you ask them, like, what do you mean?
Because of a thing that really is very esoteric.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, you know, that, and people can do that, like, be fundamentalists in any religion. Like,
Oh, they certainly can.
Especially in Judaism, as when we talk about a lot of Zionists.
Yeah.
And, like, we don't even have to get into that. Cause
We have to get into like bashing the Christian dude, like the Christian boomer with the trucker hat on who doesn't want crime in his major city to skyrocket by 200%. That's the bad guy, that old guard white guy who is just concerned with things like law and order. He doesn't like seeing order being disrupted. Look at these Rumpelstiltskin-like creatures here. They find it funny.
it's Friday night.
They love disorder and asymmetry.
it is Friday night.
I can't do it.
Right, yeah.
It's been a long week.
But there's fundamentalism that I firmly believe is just people that are misguided, misinterpretive, that believe that, you know, they have some kind of that their belief set is, you know, superior to another's, and that, you know, they feel inclined to impose that as a sense of power,
like taking over Seattle and Portland and like instituting things like Chaz and Shop and all that stuff. Like, what are we on, number 3 or 4? What are we on, month like 9, 10? These bastards, like junkies, you know, these bankster-funded commie junkies going around imposing their will of violence on all these major cities. Like, what the fuck? And again, yeah, I know this video is a little bit older, but this was already going on in one capacity or another for years at this point already.
It really is.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, but power's a really good way to like. I mean, yeah, that kind of flabbergasted me. Like, that makes sense. And I thought about it, but I've never put it into words like that. It really is, it's all about a power structure. It's just like anything else that is like...
I wonder who controls the power structure.
Really counterproductive to society.
Just like capitalism. All capitalism.
Like, you notice how they flip... They skim over the Zionist thing and they go back to the Christian, like, oh, the Christians are oppressing everybody. Like, you know, it's like, well, I don't know, man.
Capitalism's all power. You know, the more
Might be another
classes
tribe.
we're divided under, the easier it is to control us, and that's also why we live under such a label culture, where we like to label everything and everyone.
Well, yeah, we have.
Fascist, racist, Nazi, bigot, phobe. You know, okay, you label everybody everything, white supremacist, white, whatever. But yeah, I mean, in a sense, we have been seeing capitalism kind of crushing people and, like, separating, like, of course, like, these people in this video don't know what's coming yet with the COVID shutdowns and the mask mandates and shit. In my opinion, that was just a means to fucking demoralize people, get them all riled up, and then, release a bunch of prisoners because of the COVID, whatever the fuck, and then drum up some riots months before an election. So the small businesses that weren't destroyed completely by the shutdowns and the mask mandates, ANTIFA and BLM can just go in there and fucking finish them off. That's what we're seeing from capitalists. Do you think that they even fucking realize that? Did they realize that Jeff Bezos loves their ideology and funds it? You know, do they know yet that Netflix and Bank of America and Google, like, do they know this? Or, I mean,
Because that's how we just keep the.
how do you have this, like, anti-corporate bent when you have these bougie, first world kind of urbanite, hipster, coastal elite beliefs? I just don't get
Wheel
that.
turning.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. And I think that a lot of that dynamic that exists within, capitalistic enterprise is that sense of power over the market, power over others, power over consumers, power over the workers. Because
Quantitative easing.
you can't have it without
And I wonder who could possibly be involved in that.
exploitation to some degree. And, I think that we just have, it's all intertwined. I think that just society in general, like, since civilization has, like, as it's evolved, as we have come a long way since, our primitive days, like, it is still, like,
Primitive days, like...
I think that we just are raised in such a, like, power-hungry, like, self-fulfilling narrative of, like, what the world should be.
I mean, truthfully, I blame
projection.
toxic masculinity.
Oh, that's a huge part.
Well, I mean,
Toxic
She said,
masculinity is like that. If only people realized how much toxic masculinity plays into all of that. Yeah.
I saw
Is that a scientific fact that you're going to back up with anything substantive?
something on the internet. I don't remember. It was like a
Oh, she saw something on the internet she doesn't
capture
remember.
from a Twitter post about, like, shit, I'm not gonna remember it, but it was basically this extent of, when are men gonna realize that, like, shit, I don't even remember how it was, but basically it was this equation to
Just slam another Four Loko, bitch. You'll get it.
toxic masculinity being to how men treat women, how men keep women down, and how it relates to the...
Do you think she realizes that a man, like, invented the tampon because he wanted to see his wife suffer less? Men keep women down. You fucking ungrateful, bougie, posh. Oh my god.
larger society, capitalism, etc. And I really wish I would have taken a screenshot of the screenshot so I would have been better prepared. But there's also Four Loko in my hand.
Four Lokos.
I can't be held responsible for not taking that screenshot.
That's okay. Also, I'd like to acknowledge you are the first person to bring Four Lokos onto Mr. Nice Guy. So.
I am so sorry.
No, I'm quite honored, actually. I haven't had these in a very long time.
They're horrible.
They are.
I know.
It's just what is that? It's like, yeah, we're doing horrible things. Like, yeah, but then it's capitalism's fault. But a lot of capitalists are funding things that I don't like. But they're funding things that I don't like that you like, which is what's so confusing to me.
Oh.
They're pretty trash, but
They are. But I'm also a trash human, so I couldn't find the words. That was my initial plan.
Okay.
This is
It's not Sunday morning.
anybody who lives in any big city knows that like every other broad and every other dude is like this, right? Am I wrong? Am I being an asshole in saying, like, in my assessment, that most people in big cities are like this in some degree or another?
Sadly.
It's a really sad state of affairs. Super consumerist, you know, like everything that they're about is just like whatever their Facebook feed tells them, and they somehow don't realize that sponsored advertisements are instructing them to go out and basically do what they're doing while they think that they're fighting power. It's like,
so
That's
otherwise
true.
Malort.
Malort is easy, like Sunday morning.
Yeah.
college neither one of these people are in college. These people are like 10, 20 years out of college.
Just ask
bro.
any of my friends in Chicago.
Right. I want to. So as we specified prior, disability rights are like we're starting to get into that a little bit earlier with talking about ableism. So I guess like what. I guess if you don't mind, like sharing. I
don't.
what your experience with disability oppression.
I think I remember seeing a post on Facebook from this broad. She was like complaining about how some taverns will have like nuts in your mouth, shells on the floor nights. They'll serve you peanuts, right? So you slam a bunch of peanuts and you're sort of haphazard where you throw the shells and they just kind of sweep it up at the end of the night. She was posting and complaining about like, oh, they're not being accommodating toward like allergy people. Like, I have a nut allergy and I'm gonna, it's like, dude, let's get real, bro. They can't be that accommodating. We can be accommodating up to a point, but come on, man. Everything beyond a certain point is just like goofy witch Jew space communism, and we're not about that. Like, are you about that? Really? Witchy Jew hipster? Really? I mean, I'd like to ask.
I live with multiple disabilities.
Probably.
I have some mental health issues. I have some physical health issues. And when I was a kid, at like 14, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But I have like a really healthy body. So
healthy body, sick mind. Too hectic. Who was it that said, I don't know, if some study, now I'm the disreputable motherfucker who can't cite sources, but haven't people like pretty much observed that leftists are more overrepresented in mental illness? Not to disparage people simply for having mental illnesses, but I think what it shows is that to a large extent leftists are recruiting accordingly. They're finding like drugged out fucking urbanite hipsters who embrace the hedonistic lifestyle and have a lot of, mental issues, and they recruit those people accordingly. And that's why you see like every frickin' every mugshot of these people shows basically just a row of frickin' meth heads. You know what I mean? Like junkies. I think there's a huge there's something to be said about that.
I had a brain that was not treating me well, and even with meds, it was really hard to control. I think as I've aged, I've really gotten lucky that I could be on barely any psych meds. But that was my first experience into being different than like my peers.
Yeah.
And also feeling like this weird pull to normalize what isn't normal but was normal for me, and really it is normal, but it was like this. It's really weird when you think that everyone else around you is having these crazy ass racing thoughts and you're the only one that can't control them. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out, no, everyone is not having these crazy ass racing thoughts, and you can't control them because your brain, the chemistry is off.
Right. See, that is actually something that I didn't understand as a youth. I didn't quite get mental illness and depression and stuff. I thought, oh, well, just snap out of it, whatever. But no, there's chemical imbalances are real. But the thing is, like, bruh, how much of this is brought upon by this new school culture that we find ourselves in of just ultra hedonism again, it's like it's inflicted upon oneself as or exacerbated as they talk about it, right in front of your face.
So I spent from age 14 until like 30, really only being like mentally ill. Like, I had, like, some health issues, but a lot of it was just, like, I have big tits, my back hurts, or just something, like,
Whoa.
that would pass. Oh, I have really bad menstrual cramps. Oh, it's endometriosis. But as I aged, I started having a lot of really intense physical pain that I'd never experienced. And I'm a big person. I've always been fat. I think some of it's psych meds, some of it's just physiology, who I'm supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But
healthy at any size. Now, see, that's in my opinion the bad. That is the bad that we've identified here. It's just, dude, you can't have it's my physiology, bro. I mean, maybe in some sliver percentage of the population that is true. We know that that's not. We know that that's not the rule, right? And I think that we can observe leftism is all about taking the exception and conflating it with the rule. You know, doing whataboutism from the rule and going over to the exception and then muddying the waters between the two things. I think that's what you see from these people a lot. So, like, she's going to try to tell you, like, oh, it's my physiology or whatever. It's the way I'm supposed to be. Well, if that's where your advocacy, so-called, starts, you're talking about some anecdotal experience. That is, even if I accept even if I accept your premise that it's your physiology, not your for locoage.
I was always super active, whether it was biking, going to Mad Planet every weekend, walking everywhere when I wasn't biking. Like, I haven't had a car since 2005. I gave my car up to be a winter cyclist. Wow. That went poorly, but it was cool.
Hipsterific, Portlandia. Dude, actually, I wasn't a winter cyclist, but I was getting into that urban hipster cycle kind of thing. Living in the Twin Cities for a stint. You know, sometimes you gotta get with that bike culture, public transit culture. Except for the winter, like, fuck that. That would be way too hipster, way too fucking...
That's something.
Literally, it was cool.
Yeah.
But when I hit 30, I started having... I guess the only way I can describe it is, like, suddenly weird joint pain. I couldn't really put my finger on what it was. Was it aging? I don't know. And it was really starting to, like, cut into my job. I was working at Planned Parenthood. I had been there for...
Yikes. You have people in the chat like that.
I don't even remember how many years at that point. 5? Maybe longer. And I was calling in more and more. I was having, like, really bad issues with attendance. And I couldn't put my finger on what was going on because in every other way I was taking care of myself. So
just gotta stick up for those reproductive rights, bro.
Person drinking for Loco. But for real, I was. I have a pretty clean diet. I was vegan for 10 years. I wasn't at this point, but, like, I cook most of my own food. I don't order out. As I said, I like biking, walking, dancing.
Right.
And all of a sudden...
A lot of holistic stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And all of a sudden I was in all this fucking pain, and there was no rhyme or reason for it. And no one took me seriously. Because it was like, it's all in your head, which I think is what people tell a lot of women, assigned female at birth people.
Assigned female at birth pod people.
Femmes. Anyone who is not pretty much a cis dude, you're gonna hear, it's all in your head.
Dude, listen. No. They attack us for being white all the time, and then we say, hey, can you not do that? And can you not tear our fucking monuments down on the basis that they're white people? Like, and then they say, oh, it's all in your head, butt hurts. This is all projection and gaslighting. It's like they're accusing us of gaslighting as they gaslight, sort of thing. It's like, I think what she's talking about is a roundabout way of saying that anyone who suggests that lifestyle choices are a bigger contributor to one's... You know, like one's individual autonomy. Anyone who suggests that that might play a bigger role in your happiness than the system. Not that the system has nothing to do with it. Okay, we can complain about the system all day. Like in this anecdotal scenario, I don't know, bro. It might just be.
And I was getting that a lot. I was getting that from even doctors, because I also, with that history of being bipolar, oh, they're just a drama queen. Oh, they're just making it up. Oh, they're just a hypochondriac. No, shit's going on, I don't know what it is. And it took another...
Yeah, female assigned at birth people. I mean, that's newspeak, just psychobabble. I mean, that's the type of shit that's meant to scramble your brain and just make you less able to comprehend reality so that they can more easily get you to go along with their bullshit, you know?
4 years to get diagnosed, and I still think the diagnosis is wrong. It doesn't matter what the diagnosis is. I'm diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is basically my nerves are crazy. They love overreacting to everything. They are drama queens just like me.
Sure.
I still think that's wrong. I grew up playing in fields in central Wisconsin at my grandparents' tree farm.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
I think it's Lyme disease. I'll get into this later. And
Ticks, man.
Lyme disease has a fucked up history too. But all of a sudden it went from being able to walk everywhere, bike everywhere, dance. I can't do any of that shit anymore. And on top of that, I also, this is a more recent thing, but also a distant past thing. I weld freak bikes. I don't ride tall bikes. I've ridden.
I was gonna say, what's a freak bike? Is that one of those? I remember the tall bike thing that those crusty dumpster diving hipsters would ride. That was so fucking cringe, dude. But you know, this is just like the Portlandia hipster urbanite Jew witch white people shut up hour with B. Braylick. I just vehemently disagree with this. Like, I mean, I guess that goes without saying. I think this mindset, man, this was nowhere to be found. I swear to you, these types of people were nowhere to be found like 7 to 12, 15 years ago. These people were fringe society kind of people. You know, they were like what the normie centrist idiots describe as, oh, you're just making a mountain out of a molehill, you're just identifying 5 extremists on one college campus somewhere. You know, like 7 to 15 years ago, that was true. But all of a sudden, in my opinion, seemingly overnight, every other person became like this in the cities. Sound off in the chat if you agree or disagree. I don't know.
A tall bike once, and it
What do you think about that?
scared the shit out of me. But like, bike culture was really important to me, and like, I have a small tall. Her name is Too Stressed to Be Blessed. And my
What is a freak bike exactly?
So a freak bike, it's I don't remember who or where it started, but there is a freak bike club in Minneapolis called Black Label, and basically they make...
was that before or after the entirety of Lake Street was torched by BLM rioters?
Like,
Before.
double-decker bikes and other kind of, like, bikes from like Franken bikes almost.
Sure.
I wonder if the rioters spared the hipster bike shop that had BLM scrawled in the window. Probably not. They generally do not spare the cucks an immolation.
So like, you might have seen like tall bikes around where it's like 2 adult frames welded together.
Yeah.
Or I have a small tall, so it is a BMX and a small adult's bike. I'm 6'1", so it fits me perfectly.
Nice.
Or you can like have... There's a wide array of how you can do stuff. And it turns out that my now partner was doing that stuff too, so it's like the small world.
Partner, they won't say like boyfriend or girlfriend because it's gendered. See, so sheltered, so bourgeois, and so it's like, oh my god, somebody of a different identity might feel marginally less or more socially awkward. Oh my god. It's like, dude, these are neurotic, drug-addicted psychos that are now dictating how we're going to go about our social proceedings for the next few decades. And these are the kind of people that are probably sounding off on Facebook, talking about, like, vaccine, that, you know, oh, you need to wear a mask and take a vaccine. Oh, well, the people of color should have priority taking the vaccine. But it's like, no, well, nobody should be forced to take the vaccine or stay at home or wear a stupid mask. That's the point. Yeah, the dude on the left is very beta, that's for sure.
World of like punk kids welding weird, like, dumpstered bike parts together. And I love bikes. Like, my dad biked. I grew up biking. And to suddenly not be able to use my legs the right way, and realizing also that bike culture is extremely ableist, and not having ever paid attention to that before, it really fucked with me.
Bike culture is extremely ableist. This is another thing that they might just brush past and not elaborate on. One of these premises that they just feather past, they feather in there, it gets planted like a seed in your brain, you know, your impressionable hipster, drug-addled urbanite brain, and they don't actually elaborate on any details or evidence on how it's actually true. You just have to accept it as sort of like this, you know, you just have to accept it as the narrative. So how could there possibly be so-called ableism within bike culture? The way I see it, obviously, you can't use your legs, you can't bike. I don't understand, dude. Like, you can't bike. How,
And it fucked with me in this idea that I know the world is completely ableist, but that even I, as suddenly a disabled person, had been that ableist asshole.
Ableist asshole can be a band name or a song title or anything like that. Oh, Mr. Nice Guy doesn't get to speak. He looks white. He's a fellow white, dude. He doesn't get to speak. That would be huwytism, dude. You know what I mean? Telling people like this to suck it up. I mean, the thing about that is, even that is sort of misguided, because I think that a lot of them are disingenuous. I don't think that they are actually in real pain, or if they are, it's a lot of like you made your own bed kind of thing, or you insisted on this lifestyle for years and years and years. Like I said before, it kind of goes along with like the snowflake meme. I don't think that they're actual snowflakes most of the time. I think they're just disingenuous sadists who want to hurt people, you know, and so they say, oh, you're hurting us, because when people en masse believe that a group is being hurt, well, then now that group of people in their eyes has justification to, like I said, burn down Lake Street, unfortunately, in Minneapolis because of George Floyd and Jacob Blake and all that crap. So
It's a rude awakening when you realize you're just as bad as the people that you're angry at, and they're not bad people either. We're all just getting through life trying to figure out how to survive under late stage capitalism, racism, sexism, classism.
BLM burning cities and attacking people with Trump hats on, you know, crime skyrocketing in the cities, rent going up and taxes going up because of all these, you know, groups that people like this want to bring into the country and pander to with Gibbs. You know, rent, crime, taxes going up, people fleeing the cities. People in my chat saying, hey, get out of the cities, Dan. I'm sitting here thinking, like, dude, maybe that's why and how the cities went to shit in the first place. Is because boomers, Gen X, millennials, whatever, decided to leave the cities and just let people like this take the fuck over. And so now what's left? Like, you know, crime, drugs, food trucks, Planned Parenthood, STDs, you know, what's left in the cities?
Trauma, greed, etc.
Yeah, trauma, greed, etc. Exactly.
But also, I'm doing it and suddenly I can't use my legs. That sucks. Yeah. And I'm not trying to, like, do a pity party for myself either. I'm also super loud. God damn it, I am so Wisconsin.
Hey, that's okay. You know, we're here.
The whole thing was like, white men need to shut up, but yeah, someone in the chat pointed out, like, does the dude ever get a chance to speak? She says she's loud, she talks a lot.
Right, you know?
Thank you. But, yeah, it's when I really started thinking about truly what it means to be disabled is when I read this book called Dirty River, A Queer Femme of Color Dreaming Her Way Home by Leah Lakshmi Kristiana Samaraharasina. I apologize if I said
Oi to the bay.
She's amazing. She is
amazing.
A
Beta.
queer femme Sri Lankan from the East Coast, but also by way of Toronto, which also has the largest Sri Lankan diasporic population in the world.
Sure.
That sounds just like she grew up in the most, again, just posh, sheltered, but she's gonna go around telling white people to shut up. I fucking hate these people, man.
And she wrote this awesome book about what it means to be like disabled and a queer femme and a survivor of like abuse and violence and capitalism. And I was working at Captel at that time, and I was like fucking up not taking calls so I could finish this book. Because it really spoke to me. This whole idea of my experience is unique, but it's also universal because other people are feeling it too. What are we going to do about it? And that's really when I got obsessed with this idea of disability justice.
The vocal fry and the uptalk. So they're just gonna like guilt trip and vocal fry and uptalk their way into, you know, riotous arson, looting, pulling people out of cars, beating the shit out of them, and it's all justified because some bar wouldn't stop serving peanuts because she has an allergy, or like what, bike culture is ableist, or white, I don't know, dude, toxically masculine, man. What is that? They haven't elaborated on it in any meaningful detail because of course they haven't.
Which is different from disability rights. Disability rights is like a super duper, and I'm white, I know. And I'm not going to say that
she's a fellow white, but earlier they were saying Shabbat Shalom and fist bumping each other and saying how great it is to be Jewish, but yet they're just a bagel and lox Jew. It's like exactly what I said, dude.
I'm not, and then I don't have these privileges. But disability rights is an extremely, especially like feminist.
Because she's talking about all these ways her life is fucked up, but then like somehow her being like looking like a white person, like white presenting urbanite, hipster, bourgeois, you know, hipster with tattoos, like that, I guess that just negates the rest of it. I don't know. You'd have to... The thing is, though, we've been spending like the past few years like trying to interface with these people and ask them and understand, and they never really respond with anything but just like a bottle whipped at our face. So at this point, we just know they're
extremely white.
This was them basically declaring to your face, in my opinion, their intentions for how they want to destabilize your country. Like that's just what they're doing right here.
Privileged woman thing. And disability justice is kind of this queer person of color answer to it, where instead of, we're going to give you a ramp, it's more like, yeah, that's great. Thanks for the ramp. Mm-hmm. But what else are we going to do to make society a better place for like everyone involved? So thank God for Leah Lakshmi Pipsina Samharasina.
Again, the only people who care about that kind of stuff are just the most sheltered fucking people. Like, yeah, people build wheelchair ramps. I think we all, like, you know, I think that's fine. Whatever. I'm sort of ambivalent to it. So it's like, it's this very much ingratitude, where it's like, yeah, even though you've made a wheelchair ramp for my ungrateful ass, I'm still gonna sit here and just basically demand more money. You know, I think later, I've watched this video before. I think she later on talks about working for a nonprofit, like after she quit or got fired from Planned Parenthood. Like everything about this is just so perfect. Like urbanite, hipster, white presenting Jew with tattoos going around talking about how great abortion and like gay, queer, femme, disability, justice rights are, and how white people suck and need to shut up. Like, it's just every checkbox, and I think, again, I reiterate, I think that pretty much every major city has succumbed to this sort of ideology at this point. Prove me wrong. Because
without her, and I used to read her zines in the 90s too. She had this really awesome zine called Patti Smith, another zine called Sticks and Stones. She's been around forever.
Right. The punk rock fanzine subculture cannot be understated in the involvement of the promulgation of all this stuff. Like, you can't ignore like the punk rock and the, you know, whatever underground music community and art communities and stuff like that.
She's a wealth of knowledge and an amazing human. And hi, I'm gonna look at the camera. If you have any like ability to get your hands on her books, Dirty River care work or tongue breaker, along with any of her essays that are in, like, she's extremely anthologized, do it. Because you will, one, be a better person for it, and two, you might learn a fucking thing or two and stop, like, being an ableist piece of shit.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go out of my way to be this person's definition of an ableist piece of shit as often as humanly possible, which probably just means going about my daily life and not actually doing anything wrong to anyone.
So
like the silence is violence spiel, which pretty much, in my opinion, originated from MLK in the Birmingham jail letter, where he said basically like, oh, you're more dangerous as a white moderate, standing on the sidelines. You're more dangerous than the KKK hood guy. I think they took that, the BLM crowd took that and said, oh, white silence is violence. They just condensed it. And I think now they've moved it to the disability crap. They've moved it to like the LGBT crap. Basically, if you just live your life and you don't say anything about these people, they still think that you're doing violence. And they think that they have the right to come hurt you. That's how psychotic these people are. Like, and again, these are not just a few fringe psychos on a college campus. I mean, they're on college campuses, but people like this are social workers. They work at nonprofits. They're daycare workers. They're teachers. They're politicians. They've wormed they're on HR boards, like all kinds of shit. They've wormed their way into everything.
I read Dirty River, and it landed in my lap right around the time that I was having all these health issues, and it made me angry, and it kept me alive, because I could easily stay in bed. I could sleep all day. There's no such thing as too much sleep, and there's no such thing as too much ibuprofen, and there's no such thing as and there's no such thing as downtime in like capitalist culture anyways. So even if I'm sleeping, I'm like freaking out about the fact that I'm sleeping.
Yeah, right.
And I mean,
there's no downtime within capitalist cultures. Okay, what if you were like a pre-industrial era like farmer, or like living on a farm? I mean, I'm pretty sure that you'd be waking up at the ass crack of dawn, like milking cows and fucking, I mean, I don't know, dude. This is just so fucking sheltered. Bougie. That's the new tact we need to take to the left. We need to point out how fucking out of touch with your average fucking American this ideology really is. No more of this, Dems are the real racists. No more of that crap, dude. We need to actually point out what they're doing.
I feel like I watched a podcast that you had with Sam the Poet, where you guys talked about working at Starbucks, and
Starbucks donates to BLM and supports ANTIFA.
First of all, I don't even know what to say. Like, all the shit you have to remember, like,
Starbucks has like implicit bias training for their fucking like entry-level barista employees. What torturous nonsense, dude. Can you think of anything more degrading?
And the amount of Jeff Bezos style capitalism that goes into working at a place like that. No offense, Starbucks.
Ugh. You're like a lizard person, face hugger, monster.
It really made me think about this idea of, you know what it's like too. Like, I feel like a lot of people who have worked these jobs that are, yeah, okay, so you're working for Starbucks. You're not like working for, I don't know, a fast food restaurant or whatever, but you are. You are totally doing the same fucking thing. And the fact that like Starbucks somehow has a little bit more pull than anyone working for like Taco Bell is also really fucked up to me, and that's part of capitalism. And like,
what?
Like classism.
I don't understand.
Itself.
Yeah.
Wait, so Starbucks having more pull than Taco Bell is a part of capitalism and classism itself. Is that true? Does Starbucks have more pull than Taco Bell? I don't know.
But
is that a part of classism? I mean, I guess.
I thought about you guys watching that podcast because I'm like,
I'm thunderstruck.
Hell no.
Oh yeah, it's
so. And you know what it's like getting up at like 4:30 in the morning to get to work by 5:30. working clopins, all that shit. And that should not be how society treats the people that run we're the people that keep the establishment going. And
you are not in any way... Well, you are the ones that keep the establishment going. I'll give you that. I think she let it slip there. But, I mean... I think, like, I don't know, this dude might be a barista or a bartender. She might be either working at Planned Parenthood, Captel, or some hipster, nonprofit, lefty bullshit thing. Again, just like bougie, air-conditioned, cushy life where they have the ability to just sit there and bitch about white men who, again, like, wake up at the ass crack of dawn to, like, milk cows and take out her ingrateful fucking trash, or, like, Four Loko trash from the party the night before. There's
no time to heal.
Right. Yes. I think you hit it spot on when you're saying when you're sleeping so much, you feel guilty about sleeping. And I think what's been so instilled in us is this hyper competitiveness. This sense of, it's like, that hyper competitiveness wouldn't be there if we weren't taught so much that, we have to, be engaging in behaviors that are going to, like, generate us some kind of, like, profit or productivity, or that we're only...
Dude, you have to come up with some sort of productivity regardless of capitalism. I get that it's a grind and it sucks, and that they're basically... The products that they sell us are, like, slow poisoning. Like, I mean, corn syrup, red, yellow, lake, 45. I mean, I don't know. It's does he not think that that just is a universal, like, does he not see that his crowd does that worse than anybody else? The UPC bra kind of competitiveness, where, like, it's basically a race to the bottom to see who can, like, destroy the city quickest.
Worth what we can produce. The whole proletariat concept, like, it is fucked. And Starbucks, like, I mean, as far as corporations go, they gave us benefits that better benefits than many corporations do, but it is still very...
It's corporate shit.
It's still it's still very routine based. Corporate structure where you still have to, like, you still kind of have to put on this this facade of being a cog in the system. Which is why after Starbucks, I kind of, like, refuse to ever work for a corporation.
And it's just, they're complaining about their Mick jobs, essentially. Hey, listen, fine. Are they going to denounce mass immigration or the 1965 Hart-Celler Immigration Act or anything like that? Suppressing wages, they took our gerbs, ha ha ha, but no, actually, they did took our gerbs, and the mean old capitalist class that you're bitching about might have had a hand in that, and you, again, are just... It's bizarre that... Like I've said before earlier in the stream, like, it's bizarre they would take this tact of, capitalism sucks. They're the one... Dude, like, they're feeding you your marching orders. You're going out to... I'm not saying that these people specifically are going out masking up and beating people up with ANTIFA black blocs, but people with shit that you agree with. I mean, you agree with the people going out doing that. They're the ones beating up people that oppose the mass immigration and the Hart-Celler Immigration Act and all that stuff. Wage suppression, shipping jobs overseas, all that fun shit. Trump, like, signaled to that base, to that crowd, and that's a large part of what got him elected in 2016. That, like, nationalist, protectionist kind of messaging. I'm guessing that we're not going to get any of that from these people. In fact, we'll probably get encouragement to, like, ruin or physically assault people who think that way.
And I only want to work for, like, small businesses that actually, like, allow me to be myself, for one.
That is... Trust me, as someone who works for a nonprofit like that now, It is a blessing and a dream, and
it's the best.
Yeah, it's like a cushy air, like I said, a cushy air-conditioned, bourgeois, sheltered. You know, like we saw that one lady complaining about how air conditioning is sexist and racist in the office, whatever. It's like they have the luxury of complaining about things that are not real.
I wish that more jobs could just treat us
while they call us privileged. Don't you just love that?
like humans.
Oh right, yeah, because it's like you're basically you're looked at as you're expendable based on the value you provide for that corporation, that company to generate profit.
Isn't expendability great? Isn't it nice
fantastic.
to know that you could be replaced at literally any second?
Oh, it's
replaced. Interesting. So they have a desire to not be replaced, huh? Funny.
delightful.
Oh, it's so...
I love being looked at. I love being looked at like a sheep.
Why don't they see the mass immigration and the things that they advocate for as being connected to any of that? Them advocating for the cities becoming less and less white, advocating for boardrooms becoming less and less white, advocating for their music scenes and their art communities. Like, oh, there's too many white people here. How do they not see the connection between that and them increasingly hating their jobs, increasingly, like, being addicted to drugs, less connected to their community, less, just more atomized? How do they not see those things as connected?
Yeah, like
it's not that they fail to, like, demonstrate a fat stack of value for the company and therefore they're going to be kicked out on the street. I think people like this are a net drain on the system, and I mean they're not net beneficial to anyone or anything really, and it's in spite of that they're allowed to have a blah kind of city life existence. They're so oblivious or just liars.
It's just really fun being shit on. It's awesome.
Right. And
it's not even like fat life, it's just like fucking like life.
Well, I imagine like also, especially for somebody of your caliber that deals with disability.
Caliber, like she's 12 gauge, that's for sure.
It's like, you're only, they like preach that you're being taken care of, but you're only accommodated to such an extent.
You are on eggshells so often being disabled, and I'm not just talking about myself. I read it all the time. I see it all the time. I see it in the eyes of some of my coworkers.
Okay, so how about we like narrow the definition or the scope through which someone is able to get disability benefits, so that way the people that are actually disabled will have more ability to be taken care of instead of having to work some shitty fucking Starbucks Mick job alongside Pajit, in his H-1B visa. Like, but no, they're not gonna fucking talk about that, are they?
I won't say where because whatever, I speak for myself, and I also wouldn't want like people, who hired me
right, yeah.
or loco.
Yeah.
But for real, being treated well by an employer and being seen as a full person and not just the productivity.
I can't stand the up-talking.
If more businesses could have...
It's indicative of... I don't really care. It's just like a lack of confidence, and that's whatever. It's also just... It just makes me think that they're lying, that they know that they're full of shit.
This...
Like, you know what I mean?
Model of being able to have a work-life balance, being able to take care of yourself and your loved ones. Like, my partner's...
But feminism destroyed that by insisting that women bum rush the workforce and education, and they insisted everyone should go to college. No, before that, we had a system where men were the head of the household, and they were the primary breadwinners, and women fucking stayed at home and raised the kids and that sort of thing, maintained the household. That was a way better system, but you feminists and leftists, like you always do, you did the bidding of the establishment, and you said, women need to be in the workplace and suppress everybody's wages. and make like corporate culture insufferable. Can you imagine like if this broad was like your HR rep or even your coworker or boss, dude? She talked about eggshells, dude. Forget about it.
My grandmother recently passed away, and then his father recently passed away, like in the span of a month. And being able to, as someone who is not legally married to my partner, I got hired under 4 months ago, and to have my place of employment be like, we will accommodate you to be there for the person you love and care about and their family. I've never experienced that before, even at Planned Parenthood, and I loved my job at Planned Parenthood. Shout out to the fucking Marquette. Oh, Starbucks too, because well before you worked there, I used to go there to get myself a coffee on my way to work at the...
It's just like so Jewish, like Starbucks coffee and Planned Parenthood abortions and urban hipster city life, man. It's like coastal as fuck, though.
Planned Parenthood on 22nd in Wisconsin.
Oh, word. There you go. Yeah, there's some history there. Yeah.
Multiple years and multiple trips to that Starbucks, so thank you. Mm-hmm. But for real, I wish that more places of employment would realize that you would have a better morale if you care about your employees. And not just say that you care about them, but that you actually do something.
That you're accommodated, that you're just seen as a human being with variable needs to the next person. It's like we all have different, ways of, we all have ways of different ways of life, different things that we need in order to, properly function as human beings.
And we have all these disparate factions in the country, kind of vying for control, and that's what diversity pretty much is. We have all these people with like excuse me, disparate needs and demands and wants, and it's kind of fucking up the country, isn't it? But that's what these people want.
God, yeah. I can't say that enough.
But yeah, and
too evil.
Apologies that I joke about stuff a lot. It's kind of like this weird.
Oh, it's humor.
Humor.
Oh my god, I'm the same way. I come from an extremely sarcastic family. We're very ironic. Very ironic.
Yeah.
So I think that you and I think that we perceive the system and our ways of
systemic systems
coping mechanisms in a similar way.
Yeah.
Because in the same way people like to use self-deprecating humor as a comfort, as a self-comforting mechanism.
It's also comforting for other people too to know that they're not in this like shithole by themselves.
Right.
And that's really awesome. I was joking about the idea, and I hate this, so I'm gonna preface this with it's a TM, it's a joke, and it's a fucking joke. Being a fat femme, you have to have this certain personality that I've noticed on the internet is actually fat girl personality, which offends the fucking shit out of me, because I'd be funny even if I was 75 pounds lighter. Right. I would be this person no matter what my weight is.
Fat girl personality. So is she talking about this idea that fat chicks have to be funny because they have to develop a sense of humor because, guys won't like them otherwise? Does she not realize that's guys have to develop a sense of humor? All guys have to develop a sense of humor for women to even regard them as anything other than discarded gum on the sidewalk. And she's bitching she's complaining that she has to develop a fat girl persona, due to decisions that she made, I know allergies and meds. No, you drank a lot of Four Loko and ate takeout and got fat, and now you're complaining about how this is so ass backwards, right. Dude. I have to develop a fat girl funny personality for people to like me. It's welcome to being a guy, dude. You have to develop a fucking always on, joking, funny personality for anyone to even regard you as worthy of fucking oxygen. What are you talking about? Suck my dick.
But, there's this fat girl personality. Oh, she's so funny. Oh, whatever. yeah, I guess I'm trying to accommodate people and make them like me more, because clearly you're
Whatever.
not going to be attracted to me. You're only going to love me for, like, my personality.
Well, it's putting you in a box.
It's totally putting, and it's
I don't think we could physically fit.
putting so many people in a box.
In a box.
Feel, as a fat person, and seeing so many of my friends who are also people of size, or people who perceive themselves to be people of size, to feel
You just get to some. It's simply just like people of size. That term is goofy enough as it is, but like one who perceives themselves as a person of size with the uptalk and the vocal fry, because I know that premise is absurd. Dude, you're either like a fat fuck or you're not, right? I mean,
like their self-worth is only either their sexuality or their sense of humor, and honestly, those are two great things. Those are two of my pieces of, like, I'm fucking awesome, I am fucking hilarious, and I'm a good lay. That's great.
listen,
But-
hey, I mean, I could see that. I could see her being funny. I mean, I don't get this. What is this? This is the most bizarre pathology I've ever seen. So being down on developing a personality of humor because you're fat, but again, I reiterate, guys have to do that naturally. Like a skinny guy has to do that. Any old guy has to do that. You know? Is she just complaining about the fact that she can't, like other gals, just walk into a room and have guys just try to pick her up or whatever? But then if guys did do that, she'd call it sexism. We know this trick.
The fact that self-deprecating humor especially affects people who probably internalize that the world was not here for us, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just want to be the funny, bubbly, stupid human I am, because this
man.
is just who I am. And
You're
that-
great at it, and I
Hey, man,
that's
like you a
fine.
lot for it.
Thank you.
You're
That means a
welcome.
lot.
For sure. I
for
think
real.
it's great.
It's not. It's fine to be bubbly and funny. I don't think it is bubbly and funny to be stoked about Planned Parenthood and hedonism for its own sake. Like, not like, oh, we've earned it because we spent all week eating healthily and not drinking and working hard. So this weekend we're gonna eat a bunch of junk food, drink, do a bunch of drugs, and have an orgy. But just for this weekend, right? That's not gonna be our entire fucking life, right? Moderation, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
What do I know?
But it like all goes into this whole, like, these boxes of being the have-not. Like, you're not what society finds attractive. You're not what society finds profitable. You're not what society finds worthy. And I think that's bullshit.
Oh, of course
because
it's
we are
bullshit, yeah.
all, even the people who are treating us as the cogs in the wheels in one way or another, and I'm saying this is woo-woo,
Yeah, it is.
fucking witchy Jew.
It is woo-woo leftist fucking goofy ass. It is that. But it is woo-woo. It's not really I don't think it is pointing to anything concrete, you know?
Everyone has a heart. It's if they're
Okay,
using
well,
it or not, that's the problem. But we're all
It's like I can feel their increased levels of inebriation as the video goes on, and I'm starting to like vibe with it almost. It's the weirdest thing. But I don't know, dude. It's fucked. And again, this is your average person in cities right now, from my perspective.
we were all innocent kids once. Like, I remind myself of that all the time.
Oh yeah, hate is not an innate behavior. It's learned. You know.
Yeah.
Like hateful beliefs or
It's not hate though. It's sticking up for one's self or in group, which you guys perfectly understand that, Levi, don't you?
or problematic behavior. That's all learned.
Yep.
When you're talking about
I don't know, man.
disability rights,
What do you? They don't expand on it. What is it? Who's learning them what they would classify as bad behavior or problematic behavior? They're not really. They're just going to vaguely allude to it, but not expound upon
versus
it.
disability justice, that made me think about how really the whole idea of challenging privilege is challenging the inconvenience of which you are so accustomed to, especially myself as white, cisgender,
fellow whites,
mostly heterosexual male. Like,
Gator! No, okay, so jokes aside for a second, I think it's projection. Once again, when these leftists say some shit, it's projection. They live a bougie, sheltered, privileged life, and so they assume that, you know what I mean? Like, they project onto other people that are vaguely similar to them and assume that you just had it on easy street, or everything you've ever said has been taken seriously because of your identity, or, like, you've had all these different opportunities that other people haven't had. If they have, maybe it's just because of differences in culture, man. Maybe it's because people are observant. I mean, I don't know. If I can't really go into too much detail. I mean, just certain urban pathologies might be less hireable than others. Let's just put it that way.
white, like especially being white, like you know,
fellow white,
like that's something that you and I can obviously like relate. That like we have to stand aside, pass the mic, move along.
And now I'd like to pass the mic to y'all.
And also just stay silent when a particular issue just doesn't pertain to us, and to just listen more than use our own voice.
Again, so these people come from relative affluence and privilege, so the prospect of an angry, brainwashed, violent mob of Blakes, like, taking to the streets and demanding that white people pay them money, like, like violently taking to the streets with arson and looting and stuff, like, to them, that's just, oh, you don't like that? Shut up. Just shut up. Like, what the fuck, dude? So sheltered, so bougie.
Sit your ass down?
Sit
so
our ass down.
Yep.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, sit your ass down, white goyim, and just accept the fact that we're going to rabble-rouse these Blakes to go burn your cities down. Just sit down. Just sit down and take it.
Something that I've been reflecting a lot in the last year from doing this show, how much I've learned how to do. This show has been a great catalyst for myself to undo and unlearn a lot of those
unlearn. There's the brainwashing newspeak talk now again.
Behaviors that I've just where my privilege has benefited me. Where it's like I'm want to like use this platform as a way to.
He just did the edit again, but he didn't.
Lend that voice to those that I want to hear from. But
he doesn't get into how his privilege benefited him, and doesn't get into how maybe. I don't want to get kicked off the platform, but it's like, at what point is it privilege or whatever, or oppression, and at what point does it just become like nobody likes certain cultures or factions that are hostile or out groups? When does it become that? When in other words, when does it stop being, oh, they're oppressed underclass, and when does it become they're just being jerks that nobody likes? You know what I mean?
It's also just like you realize as you do it more is like I realize how I have less and less things to say the more and more people I talk to from different communities. And it's like, and it's kind of like great because it's great learning. Oh, it's fucking great because it's like I finally like am actually like something that I may not have understand, or something I never would have thought of, that like behaviors I might have engaged in that I didn't even realize are like like
he's making it up as he
just not conducive to making others feel included or inclusive. Like
you see what I mean? Like what they're ultimately talking about is their sheltered bourgeois background, where it's like, oh my god, somebody feels marginally less socially comfortable. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's how they interpret, or that's how they want you to think that they interpret what oppression is, I think. So any form of like, oh, I'm of a different race or background, and I don't understand what these white people are doing, this is awkward. Any form of that is apparently oppression. they want you to believe.
Especially,
Absolutely, it's just like nonsense. How about we acknowledge that, like, these different factions might not have that much in common to the point where sharing a system might not be an optimal way to go.
like, I freelance right on the music scene. And something that we talk about a lot is just how there's just a lot of all male, like, white dudes that are in bands.
So many dudes.
There's so many dudes.
Did you hear that? So they're complaining about how, like, the music scene is white dudes. Let me just rewind that for like a second. Hold on.
There's just a lot of all male, like, white dudes that are in bands.
So many dudes.
There's so many dudes. There's so many. Like, there's a ton. And
Do you see how they just view that in and of itself as a problem? Do you see that? There's so many white dudes. So many.
bands.
So many dudes.
There's so many dudes.
So many dudes. Oh my god, dude.
There's so many. Like,
There's
a ton. And
So many white dudes.
I love some of those.
oh yeah, a lot of them are great
Bits and pieces,
musicians.
love them.
But it's
Yeah, she loves them. You hear that, Goyim? Yeah, they love
like
you.
we see
Right.
like so much about, like, well, it's like when I'm thinking about, oh yeah, like, I love this band, this band, this band, I want to have them all on the show. It's like, sure, like, I'm sure there are, like, by all means, they're probably all great dudes and great people to talk to, but it's like, well, there's more than just, all white cis men
Yep.
that, make our music scene what it is.
But no, because the music scene that you guys are involved in is this primarily, like, DIY sort of punk, metal, emo, screamo, core, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like that, like guitar shit. And what do we know about that style of music in terms of, like, the past 30, 40, 20, 30 some odd years, right? It's white dudes that sort of cultivated that scene, right? It's white dudes that, generally speaking, are like the suburban go-getters who go book, who contact the bands, draw up the flyers, call the venues, book the shows, and all that stuff. Start the bands. Anybody who understands, I mean, dude, it's like they're being disingenuous as fuck on purpose or something. That, like, oh my god, this underground rock scene is white dudes, and also like I pointed out earlier, they find that to be a problem in and of itself, that it's predominantly white dudes. Why? No, I'm asking you why.
Yep.
But I guess we'll get into that maybe. Maybe they'll expand on it.
That's the beauty of, like, what we could be, embracing as part of our music scene. And so that's an
Dude, like, black women are not playing punk rock music. How is that? Like, do I really need to fucking sit here and mansplain to these fucking women, like these two women sitting here, like, that punk, metal, whatever, that's not a fucking, I mean, white dudes promulgated that. They invented it. They popularized it in the underground and in the overground, like, in the mainstream. Like, and so they're sitting here, like, nonplussed that it's going to be a predominantly white scene. I don't get that.
example is that, like,
Also, since you're talking about music, I just want to put a shout out on here right now. Okay, if you have a chance, reach out to Habitat for Insanity.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Please do, because
Okay, let's look up Habitat for Insanity. Let's look up Habitat for Insanity. Let's change up the stream a little bit here. Maybe Habitat for Insanity is on here. Habitat for Insanity, Milwaukee? Maybe punk or something, I don't know. Okay, yeah, at High Dive. They were talking about this in the stream. Let's check it out. I think we've got a pretty decent idea as to why the affirmative action approach to music is not the best one.
My friend Amber is their guitarist and lead singer, and she's amazing.
Awesome.
And the whole band's
No.
amazing. And I think that if we're talking especially about a non-completely male-driven part of the, especially River West music scene, Habitat for Insanity is your go-to.
Oh, good.
So please.
Wait, what?
I love y'all.
Shout out to Habitat for Insanity. I have heard of them.
Yeah. So what? What did she say? Like non-male centric, oh my god. No, dude. I just don't dig it, man.
They're spectacular.
Been wanting to cover a show of theirs, but yeah, like it's just so. This show is allowed. Like doing this has just allowed me to just also reflect how, like, you know, there will be a lot of times where it's like, you know, at this point I don't even feel inclined to talk about something that, you know, I don't know about or that I haven't experienced, shoes I haven't walked, because it's not my place. And I feel like it's this, especially white men love to have opinions on things. We love to. We
all do.
We love to have opinions.
We fellow whites love to have an opinion and should stop.
But white people in general love to have opinions on things, and that's really offensive. And I say that as a white person. Like, how many books are written by white people about, like, people who...
Hold on.
White people in general love to have opinions on things, and that's really offensive. And I say this as a white...
I feel like it's this, especially white men love to have opinions on things. We love to. We
all do.
We love to have opinions on
But white
things.
people in general love to have opinions on things, and that's really offensive. And
What?
I say this as a white person. Like,
A fellow white. But by the way, Shabbat Shalom.
how many books are written by white people about, like, people who are not white? How many, like...
I don't know, and I don't care, because that's a bizarre thing to care about.
White people, especially white cis people, write books about, like, people who
It's about imagination, isn't it?
are not straight or not cis or obviously not white. We really need, as white people, shut up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
this is the person who's talking.
Fucking they.
Stop right now.
Yeah.
But seriously, y'all white folk, you know who you are, because we're all white and we all know who we fucking are.
Fellow whites.
We just need to
Please
put it.
shut the fuck up.
We gotta put a stop in it, because, like, especially now, 'cause
Especially, like, now that, like, I'm drunk and for, like,
it's like it's just been. I mean, and I say this because, like, as history continues to move forward, and, you know, such oppressions still have much work to be done, have not been undone yet.
much work to be done. See, they got the gay marriage ratified. Oh, there's still so much work to be done with child transgender drag shows. There's still so much work to be done. That's generally what they mean.
Like, we're still residually, you know, while there might be legislation that says this, it's like we're still sociologically dealing with the residual effects of, you know, like, oppressions that are, like
oppressions and stuff, bruh.
including but not limited to, you know, slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, like stuff
Linear time.
like that. You know,
Look at the city we live in. Like,
Yeah.
we are the most segregated city in America.
yes.
And
Starting about Milwaukee. Okay, segregation is over. Segregation implies that the state is saying no colored water fountains, not white water fountains. People just... The boomers basically just white flew to, you know, Waukesha County, Washington County, and they let Milwaukee and Madison go to shit. That's basically what we're looking at. She's gonna say it's white supremacy, fuck white people need to shut up. Basically, she thinks white people need to shut up complaining about their houses being robbed by gangbangers and shit. Like white Karens need to stop complaining about George Floyd pointing a fucking gun at her stomach during a home invasion. Like, that's basically...
I think about this, especially because...
Who's dealing with slavery and Jim Crow right now? Bougie, urbanite, white-presenting, small hat people who dislike people of the huwyte persuasion. They're the ones trying to convince you that it's this bizarre thing. They're trying to convince you that they care about it, when really they care about it only as a means to get you to hate yourself and submit to their bullshit. It's just yet another means by which they do that.
You also cover the music scene, you know. Depending on where you are, we are incredibly fucking segregated within the music scene too.
Yeah.
Especially within punk rock, we are so fucking white. It is so upsetting.
Yeah.
So every fucking time, dude. Hold on.
Depending on where you are, we are incredibly fucking segregated within the music scene too.
Yeah.
Especially within punk rock, we are so fucking white. It is so upsetting.
Yeah.
It's just so upsetting that it's white. That something is white is in and of itself a problem. It's upsetting. This, like, I'm not going to say trust funded, but we can definitely say posh, up-talking, vocal frying, coastal elite attitude by way of the Midwest, like, tattooed hipster urbanite bitch. Like, I loathe these kind of people, man. These are the kind of people we should be, like, this is the kind of people that we oppose.
First,
in a nutshell.
Went to a punk show in Chicago. It was in Pilsen, and I was one of the few white folks there. I did not speak Spanish. Most of the talent, most of the attendees were Latinx.
Latinx.
Completely out of my element.
I wonder if he went into, like, the barrio as like, this broad, right? And started saying, Latinx? Latinx? I wonder how they would react.
Right.
I probably did the best that I could to not be a complete asshole, and I probably still was, because I was still kind of young. Sort of.
Yeah.
See, again, like I was saying before, like, the act of not doing anything at all, like, white silence is violence. Like, simply not doing anything is now violence, right? So she went to a punk show where everybody spoke Spanish and did nothing but, like, probably stand there and crack a few jokes while drinking Four Loko and headbanging, right? That's probably all she did, but in her mind, she somehow, like, oppressed the Latinx. Like, I don't get it, man. I other than just to think that they're just not on the level.
But,
you know,
Milwaukee doesn't have that, and that freaks me out.
Oh my god. Like, think about where our venues are.
Think about just the genre of music you're talking about. Like, extreme underground punk, metal, artsy kind of crap that was promulgated by white presenting kind of people or white looking kind of people. That shouldn't surprise you that it's predominantly white. And it doesn't surprise them. They just, for some reason, don't like it. I don't know why.
They're either here in River West, in Bayview, in Walker's Point, or downtown.
Also, let's talk about the fact that Bayview and Walker's Point used to be Latinx enclaves, and River West actually was a Puerto Rican enclave for a really long time. River West has a long, beautiful history of Puerto Rican neighbors, and
enriched.
Us white folk have completely fucked that up. Gentrification. Also,
did they fuck it up? What did they fuck up? I mean, exactly. You guys fucked it up. Instead of paving over all the ghetto-ness and turning it into, like, a nice lily white kind of area, you scuzbags moved in and turned it into, like, Portlandia. Like, so like the crime and the robberies and the murders and the rapes will continue. It's just now you get, like, vegan brunch and, like, punk shows and, like, still no grocery stores, still liquor stores and bars on every other corner, like, still no real culture to speak of. But I mean,
any chance you get, go to Pueblo Foods, get yourself some food at the counter.
I have.
It's good.
Also, coffee makes you black. Really?
Yes, coffee makes you black. Seriously, please go there.
Actually, I have gone to Pueblo Foods. I've gotten an empanada, but the thing is once again, Bougie, sheltered, out of touch. They live in an urban center, and they're like, white people, make sure to go buy from people of color businesses. And it's like, motherfucker, do you not know? I mean, you must not actually live in the city. You must weekend warrior in the city. Because every other business already is some, like, immigrant-owned or, like, you know, minority, government-subsidized minority business loan kind of thing, or grants, or otherwise minority-owned business. So, yeah, I have gone to Pueblo Foods and had their empanadas and stuff like that, but what I'm saying is, like, I don't think you really have much of a choice if you're a person living in a city. You're kind of just embracing diversity and cultural enrichment, whether you like it or not, which is why I find this kind of bizarre here.
Because with all of the construction that's going on,
They almost went out of business.
Yeah. And please support local.
Oh, dude, I mean, this is way before COVID race war. I wonder if any fucking mom and pop businesses such as Pueblo Foods are still around. I doubt it. Black-owned, Latinx-owned. Okay, well then these people, I guarantee you, are the same people demanding that we continue shutting shit down. You know, social distancing, mask mandates, completely screwing over fucking small and medium-sized businesses. Yeah.
People of color.
Because it doesn't matter to them. They're sheltered.
Businesses, because, like, I love fuel, but it's fuel. It's going to be here forever.
Right, it's convenient.
Fuel's going to be here forever. Fuel Cafe is going to be here forever. Yeah, they closed because of COVID race war, but why let...
It's convenient for us because it's right fucking there.
Exactly.
You know? Like,
so please...
Oh, it's convenient. Oh, yeah, bougie, schmaltzy, fucking urbanite fun. Yeah, just take everything for granted.
Bubby says, support people of color-owned businesses, support black-owned businesses, support people in your community who don't look like you.
yes.
Number one, why? And number two, I have no choice. So you're an idiot.
I'm saying that to white people. I don't really... That's who it's directed at.
Just, you know, and, like, really...
And it's also super awkward as two white folks sitting here being like, oh, fucking do this thing. But fucking do this thing.
Fellow whites, do this thing, goyim.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
you goyim better follow your fucking rules from the fellow whites, because otherwise there'll be hell to pay about a year later. Yeah, approximately a year later. And there was hell to pay.
At the end, like, it's...
Oh, there was.
It's the least
and there
that
is.
we can do as folks that still, like, are going to benefit from privilege.
Exactly.
And it's like, you know...
Privilege.
I was, and I was also, like, reading about, this article recently, it was talking about how, like, black folks, you know, they kind of, like, make fun of the fact that, like, a lot of the loudest voices when it comes to trying to, like, call out and point out, like, offensive things are often white people that are really just trying to look woke.
Oh my...
Yeah. Self-awareness level zero.
God, the fact that... Okay, this really pisses me off too, because even the idea of the verb woke, that's not our verb. That is AVE, and that is seriously fucked up.
Y'all say
when white folks who are doing this weird fucking tokenizing, like talking over people of color, like trying to be that fucking white savior.
Dude, I'm sorry, but we're literally talking about, like, the loudest fucking faction on the fucking planet, man. What are you talking about?
Please fucking stop.
That white...
No, I mean, please fucking stop torching cities. Please fucking stop, like, attacking white people at a per capita rate way higher than the other way around. Same with, like, sexual assaulting white women. Not that she gives a fuck about so-called Karen, right? She probably... Honestly, like... This might sound harsh, but I think these people honestly sit around and, like, laugh at the prospect. They think it's hilarious, the prospect of white Karen from Waukesha being, like, robbed, home invaded, killed, you know, raped by a pack of, like, Somali immigrants. I think, honestly, they think that that's fucking hilarious. They think it's fucking hilarious, and they think that you opposing that is reason for them to destroy you. I honestly believe that.
Saviorism, that's
Please
huge.
fucking stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear that? Just fucking stop. Stop complaining about your city's going to shit, you know. But this isn't even, like...
And
they're really talking about just, like, if you're a white person who doesn't do anything wrong, who's just there. If you spend your money at a white business, you're wrong.
See of it in the past too.
all right, we all
Please fucking stop.
As am I. Like the best thing that we can do to counter that while still, you know, doing the best we can is to ask our POC brothers and
Yep.
sisters and non-binary
Awesome.
folk that
Yep.
you know, just asking what they need from us, asking what
They need carte blanche to go physically assault random people and burn cities to the ground and loot and just be crazed, violent psychos. And anything short of that is an ism or a phobe of some kind. Whoops.
like the true issues that they need our assistance with in
Save the blacks!
rather than you know,
They need our assistance. Save the Blacks Foundation. Donate to my nonprofit, Save the Blacks Foundation.
jumping
LLC.
on that tokenizing bandwagon over like, oh fuck you, this is racist, or this is, you know, this is like fucking offensive, but it's like a lot of them don't even care that much.
And it's so weird too, because it's like, I feel like a lot of, and this is totally generalizing, but a lot of the white, especially like activist anarchist folks who talk for and therefore over POC, not just people, but their whole communities,
Yeah.
don't even hang out with people of color.
Right.
And that's so fucked up.
Why? Why is in-group preference fucked up? So far, they've said that the punk scene and the metal scene being predominantly white in and of itself is bad. White people hanging out with other white people is bad. They haven't, like, it's been a trend throughout this video of them not really elaborating on much, but that's one of the glaring ones that they bring up the most. Oh, this space is predominantly white, and that's bad. Well, why? They never really, they don't get into it. They just sort of, like, expect you to take that as a given.
And Milwaukee is segregated. I fucking know that.
No, it's not.
So, I get...
No, it's not. It's got a lot of problem. It's got, like, demographic issues, basically, like, cultural issues, and people don't want to be around that, right? So they white flight. That's really what it is. It's... I mean, I'm not going to call it a completely... sometimes you could call it cowardly, because one could argue that maybe the boomers should have stood their ground and fought back against the encroachment, and they failed to do that, and now, in my opinion, the BLMs and the ANTIFAs of the world are the result of that, and us having to deal with that is because the boomers failed to really stick up against these people and shove them out of educational spaces, shove them out of... Not physically, but, like, metaphorically, of course. Like, get them out of media, entertainment, education, teaching, childcare, like, all that stuff. They kind of were shitty stewards of the country, so here we are.
There is this weird, almost, like, barrier that you have to traverse to be in spaces that are, and I hate to use the term integrated, but I guess that's what we're going to call it for right now, because we are so segregated, and that's what it
Yeah,
be.
for sure.
Nope.
The fact that so many of people who are people that look like me, who are talking
Who looks like you exactly? Like like Ursula from The Little Mermaid?
for and therefore over people of color who actually don't hang out with people of color is just fucking mind-blowing to me, but also that's like this...
No, it's mind-blowing to me that you don't understand that huwytes are the actual people of color, that there's already rich diversity amongst Polacks, Italians, Brits, Germans, Irish. I mean, what the fuck, dude? White is already diverse. That should be the next "it's okay to be white" sign. White is already diverse, dude. Check that shit.
Weird part of like being white, and I hate it.
Mm-hmm. It's that sense of where we were taught to.
What did she say?
White, and I hate it.
White.
It's out with people of color is just fucking mind blowing. Of people who are people that look like me, who are
Ursula.
talking for and therefore over people of color who actually don't hang out with people of color is just fucking mind-blowing to me, but also that's like this weird part of like being white, and I hate it.
Mm-hmm. It's that
This part of being white, and I hate it. Did you fucking did you hear the poison just dripping from like those words, dude? And I reiterate, every single fucking time, man. Okay?
sense of where we were taught to gravitate towards people that look like us, because it's like we sense there's some sort of sense of familiarity with it, but it's like, you know, we
Yes.
need to like learn how to undo that.
Why? Did you hear that? Hold on a second. Let me just crank the volume a little bit. He's saying this about white people. Hold on.
Sense of where we were taught to gravitate towards people that look like us,
We're not taught to do that. That's innate amongst humans. What are you talking about?
because it's like we sense there's some sort of sense of familiarity with it, but it's
Yes, so why are you putting white people in the position where they should feel on the defensive for doing that? What the fuck? How sadistic can you possibly be,
like,
man?
you know, we need to like learn how to undo that. And
You white people need to learn how to undo your sense of in-group preference that we yids have, like, to the nth degree. What a couple of just disgusting
And it's
like,
really because
engage.
we're like, at least for right now, and I can't wait for it to change, we're still the dominant, like, societal, I guess, motivating factor. Like, we're the people that, I don't know, advertising is
Sure.
like,
Oh.
we're the marketing
Yeah.
That's not true, dude. Anybody who's logged into Facebook knows that it's all interracial couples, this, that, and the other, like, absurdly unrealistic, picturesque, suburban, like, households that show this goofy, like, you know, interracial family that makes no sense. What is she talking about? It's just all lies. All these people do is lie all the time without exception, these progressives. It's amazing.
And
But she also said, I can't wait for this to change, you know, typical Jewish, like, sort of mentality. Like, she's just flat out saying that she's excited for this country to be less white. Why?
Oh, what I was going to say, though, is the whole idea of, like, get outside your fucking self and stop being, like, that white guy
Yeah.
or that white woman or that white person, because...
I think it's like that guy is like you, and what we've been seeing is that that guy meme is totally flipped. It used to be that guy was like the crazy LGBT psycho, like screaming about aborting babies and this AIDS and black people are oppressed, this, that, and the other. Like, that used to be like...
It's not helping anything. And also, for the love of Christ, in movements that are being led by people of color, Whitey, shut up and let people of color lead. And, like you said, ask...
Dude, in the movements that are led by people of color, like BLM in Canada, there was that Canadian faction of BLM where the black lady straight up is going off on Twitter about how white people are a genetic mistake and all this stuff. And it's like, we're supposed to sit down and shut up and
what
take that.
you can do
Okay.
as the dominant paradigm, the person of privilege.
White people are not the dominant paradigm now, but if they are, it's because we conquered this land, not stolen, conquered, etc., etc. You need to get over that aspect of history. You really do.
And also, if someone tells you all they want is for you to shut up, shut up.
Yeah.
And I could have
You need to shut up though because you're annoying, not because you're a fellow white.
learned that earlier too, and I didn't. So I'm an asshole too, and I'm working on it.
So am I. So am I. Many of us are. And that's okay. You know, we're imperfect human beings that are constantly evolving, and as
It's
I was
so
just
much fun being imperfect too.
it's in.
But it's also fucked up.
Oh yeah, well it was like kind of what we were saying earlier. Like it feels great to learn and to hear rather than to feel. It also puts.
What have we learned from listening to this? Exactly, that spaces that are white in and of themselves are bad. White people need to shut up. That these are both bagel and lox Jews, but also fellow white people at the same time who are telling you to shut up when a black person is getting in your face, clap talking about how white people need to just arbitrarily give them and indiscriminately give them money and allow them to burn cities to the ground. I think that's what we've learned today.
Less pressure on yourself to feel like you need to say the right thing. You're doing yourself a lot of favors by just not talking and just passing the mic to somebody who has a lived experiences you can't speak to.
Exactly.
I don't want to have to give a shit about other lived experiences because I think that they're cringe and gay and, quite frankly, way more violent and uncivilized than I'm used to. And I don't think that it is really any demographics, especially huwytes, obligation to suffer this. You think it's funny because, again, you're sheltered, posh, bourgeois assholes who will never ultimately have to suffer. I'm not going to say never, but you're going to be way less likely to have to suffer, for instance, like riots if they get too hairy. Because I think that you're always going to have some sort of like Waukesha County or North Shore suburb place to retreat to. Other people who live in the cities are not necessarily going to fucking have that. And they're going to be sitting ducks when this boog shit happens. This boog shit that's been instigated by people like this every weekend for the past 4 years. But we're the ones who need to shut up, right?
That's a really beautiful thing, and that is how you learn and grow. And
I hate that, just another tangent, I hate that these people are able to present themselves as good, altruistic, like, do-gooders. Like, that's what I really hate. That's what I really, really fucking hate. Because they're the exact opposites. They're destructive parasites who want to corrode at anything that's good. Anything that's meritocratic. Anything that's, like, symmetrical or orderly or, like, safe. They want to get rid of.
A lot to, getting out of the East Side bubble and living in River West and traversing to...
You're so welcome here too. Welcome.
Yeah, oh my god, it's great.
I know!
It's great, I love it here.
On and off for 16 years, basically on...
Oh, it's great, but I'm, like, unhealthy and disabled and fucked in the head. Yeah, isn't it great? But it's not great. Whoa, look at me. It's incoherent.
It's amazing.
Oh, it's great, yeah.
Except it's also super gentrified, and we're all fucking it up. But
we still have
home.
problems.
It's fucking home.
White people coming in equals... So if you ask these average, like, River West hipsters what gentrification is and why it's bad, I guarantee you what they'll tell you is white people moving into an area and white people bad. That will be their definition of gentrification.
We still have a lot of issues, but it's been great to traverse to
like white people are in these spaces and that's a problematic. Oh my god, I hate it. Can I go back to Waukesha, my grandma's house? These riots are getting too hairy and violent. Oh my god.
Many different venues to talk to so many different kinds of artists, of many different backgrounds that all call Milwaukee home, that are all working towards this collective goal of putting our city on the map, really embracing just such talented soul that we have here in the Cream City. And
the bland, dude, there's parts of this city there's wide swaths of this city that look like a dilapidated, burnt out Fallout 4 shantytown, dude. What are you talking about?
It's been a real honor to...
The East Side and Bayview and the suburbs are pretty much the only inhabitable parts of the city, dude. The city proper, like the city, the big city. Everything else is just very, very, very ghetto.
To do what I can to contribute, to help our voices being heard, and I like these are really, really important and also just great conversations to be having. So thank you too for being loud and for taking up your space.
I've never been more happy to be so loud and obnoxious.
Please,
for real, thank you.
Please keep doing it.
She should do like the funny fat girl persona, not the like, oh my god, be my white ally. Like, fucking stop it.
I don't know how to stop now. I'm
Good.
37 next year. I'm just gonna keep being loud and obnoxious till I die.
There you go. Also, I want to actually ask you, because it's something that I've always been curious about ever since I learned it was a thing. Tell me about sword swallowing.
Okay, so once upon a time in River West, there was kind of a punk rock anarchist circus underbelly. There was a troupe called the Brew Circus that my wonderful friend Eric was a part of. And
it's all about an underbelly.
Was super
seedy
in,
underbelly.
My idea of what anarchism was.
And what is anarchism?
Anarchism was like this extremely like expressive and performative thing. It wasn't just like reading Howardson. So
it's reading other pedophiles like Foucault and Marx and what's the other guy, Kropotkin and Allen Ginsberg, and I wonder what other things all of these people have in common.
The Brew Circus kind of moved away for a while, and then they came back, but not all of them. And I started hanging out with my friend Eric, Eric Bang, who I love to bits and pieces, who's kind of like our MC. And I always like to joke that I don't have a physical gag reflex, and I don't. Like, I am not one of those people that when they brush their teeth, they get, like, nauseous. Really nothing nauseates me except smells and the idea of smells. So it was really...
The idea of smells, like the thought of a smell.
Easy for me
so neurotic.
To... And because I was an idiot at the time and I didn't think about, like, my health. I was like... Oh, I don't have a physical gag reflex. Well, I'm not really good at being a clown. Like, I'm funny, but I'd have to talk to be funny. What can I do that is uncomfortable and, really, like, revolutionary? If, I guess, swallowing a sword would be revolutionary.
Yeah.
And it turns out, because I don't have that physical gag reflex, I was like, oh, shit. I can swallow swords, and I was traveling. I was doing
swallow something.
Sugar beet harvest. Which
I don't know why
I'm
still fucking watching this, dude. This is. I think you get the idea. So these are the types of people. These are the denizens of your major cities that are. I mean, for decades now, they've been taking control, and the boomer conservatives sort of just let it happen. But anyway, I don't know. Upvote the stream, donate to whatever the fuck links I got in the description. I think I got some t-shirt link as well. But I'm gonna play us out with this remixed version of something or other. Cactus Lottery.